Zainab's hand trembled on the gold door handle of Suite 3407. This wasn't her assignment. The schedule had been wrong, or deliberately changed. Either way, she was about to enter a room that belonged to someone far beyond her clearance level. You're too much, Zainab. Too everything. Her ex-fiancé's words still lived under her skin 2 years later. Too dark, too curvy, too loud, too opinionated. She'd come to Seoul to escape those words, to work night shifts at the Luminaire Hotel where she could be invisible. She turned the handle. The suite was bathed in amber light from the city below. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed Seoul like a painting and framed the man standing before them. Kang Junseok. She knew his name the way everyone in the hotel knew it, whispered, feared, desired. He stood shirtless, dress pants hanging low on his hips, staring at the city like it owed him answers. His body was imposing. The rumors hadn't been exaggerations, but that wasn't what made Zainab's breath catch. It was his eyes. When he turned to face her, she saw them clearly, dark, exhausted, and waiting. Waiting for her to gasp, to stammer an apology, to run. She didn't. For 3 seconds that stretched like hours, neither of them spoke. The city hummed 40 stories below. Her heart thundered against her ribs. "You're not supposed to be here," he said finally. His voice was quiet, careful, like he was used to people flinching at the sound of it. "Neither are you," Zainab answered, surprising herself. Something flickered across his face. Not anger, something softer, something that looked like relief. She'd heard the rumors, of course. The housekeepers whispered them during shift changes, voices dropping to scandalous lows. He's too much for any woman. They all leave. Some crying, some laughing, all running. But standing here, seeing the loneliness carved into his shoulders, Zainab wondered if everyone had been looking at the wrong thing. "What's your name?" he asked. Such a simple question. But giving it felt dangerous, like stepping off a cliff she couldn't see the bottom of. Her lips parted. "Before I tell you what happens next, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe, because this story is about to take you on a ride you won't forget. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, Nigeria, Korea, somewhere else entirely. And trust me, the twist that's coming will leave you breathless. Now let me tell you her answer. Zainab, she said. Zainab Okori. He repeated it slowly, like he was tasting each syllable. Zainab, she should leave. Apologize for the intrusion and back out of the suite. Instead, she stood there, holding his gaze. I'll send someone else, she managed. Don't, he said quickly. Then softer. Please. That single word, please, from a man who commanded Seoul's shadows, unraveled something in her chest. 6 months earlier, Lagos, Nigeria. The engagement party had been everything Zainab's mother dreamed of. White and gold decorations, a live band, 200 guests wearing their finest aso-ebi. Zainab had stood in the center of it all, wearing a coral gown that hugged every curve, her dark skin glowing with expensive makeup, and felt like livestock at auction. She's very robust, Chidi's aunt had said, loud enough to be heard. Dark, too. Will the children be this dark? Chidi's mother had smiled tightly. We'll make sure she stays out of the sun. They discussed her body like she wasn't standing right there. Her hips, her thighs, the way the dress revealed too much. How she'd need to lose weight before the wedding. Lighten her skin, soften her voice, stop being so opinionated during family discussions. You're embarrassing me, Chidi had hissed later that night. Why can't you just smile and agree? Why do you have to be so much? She'd looked at the man she thought she loved, the man who'd promised to cherish her, and seen a stranger. Too much, she'd repeated. You know what I mean. Too loud, too opinionated, too everything. My family wants a wife who knows her place. Zainab had removed her engagement ring that night. By morning, she'd bought a one-way ticket to Seoul, not because she loved Korea, but because it was far enough away that no one would ask her to shrink. Present day, Junseok's penthouse. Kang Junseok stood on his private terrace watching the sun bleed over Gangnam's skyline. His phone buzzed with messages from his assistant, Minho. 3 property acquisitions finalized. The Busan deal needs your signature. And your mother called again. Always his mother. He didn't answer. People thought Junseok's power came from violence. They were wrong. He didn't break bones. He broke financial empires. A whispered word in the right ear. A strategic property purchase that bankrupted a rival. Information traded like currency in rooms where blood was too messy. Seoul's elite called him the Ghost King. There but not there, controlling everything while touching nothing directly. But none of that power helped him with women. He thought of Sujin 3 years ago. They'd dated for 6 weeks. He'd been careful, patient, gentle. The first time they tried to be intimate, she'd laughed. That nervous, humiliated laugh that still echoed in his skull. "I'm sorry," she'd said, backing away. I can't. You're too much." Then Ji-won, same story. She'd cried, apologized, made him feel like a monster in his own skin. Then Haijin, who tried. God, she tried, and ended up in pain, angry, accusing him of being reckless even though he'd been anything but. After that, he'd stopped trying. His mother's voice played on loop. "You'll never marry. No refined woman will accept you. This is your curse, Jun-suk. Your father's genetics, my family's shame." He'd built walls around his heart, fortresses, told himself loneliness was safer than rejection. Until last night. Until a woman with dark skin and darker eyes had walked into his suite and hadn't flinched. On his desk sat a photograph, his father smiling, arm around a teenage Jun-suk. His father had been a big man too, in body and heart. Before the cancer took him, he gripped Jun-suk's hand and said, "The right woman won't run from you. She'll run towards you. Wait for her." Jun-suk had waited 5 years. Maybe she just walked through his door. That evening, the second meeting, Zainab checked the schedule 3 times, suite 3407. Again, this couldn't be coincidence. She knocked, waited. The door opened. Jun-suk stood there, fully dressed this time, black turtleneck, tailored slacks, but somehow more vulnerable than the night before. "I requested you," he said simply. "I hope that's not inappropriate." It absolutely was, but Zainab's heart was already betraying her. "Just tell me what you need." "Conversation," he said, "if you're willing." She should say no. Should remember Lagos, remember shrinking herself for a man who never saw her anyway. But Jun-suk stepped aside, and she walked in. They talked for 2 hours. About poetry. She loved Rumi. He quoted Neruda in perfect Korean, then translated into English. About Seoul's loneliness. About the weight of other people's expectations. He made her laugh, actually laugh. Then his phone buzzed. A message lit up the screen. "Mother." His entire body went rigid. The warmth drained from his face. "I should go," Zainab said quietly. "Wait." He looked at her with something desperate. "Can I see you again? Not like this. Properly." "Properly?" "Dinner. Tomorrow night. Let me take you somewhere you can say no to me in public if you want to." Zainab's mind screamed caution. Her heart whispered something else entirely. "One dinner," she said. His smile could have lit the entire city. 2 weeks later, Zainab had memorized the pattern of Jun-suk's breathing. She knew he took his coffee black at midnight, that he read poetry when he couldn't sleep, that beneath the armor of expensive suits and controlled power lived a man starving for something real. Their conversations had become ritual. Every night she worked, he requested her for suite 3407. They never touched, not yet, but the air between them crackled with possibility. "Have dinner with me," he said on the 14th night. Outside the hotel. Somewhere real. Zainab's heart kicked against her ribs. "That's not private," he interrupted. "But real. Let me take you somewhere beautiful." She should say no. Every instinct screamed caution. "Tomorrow night," she heard herself say. 8 o'clock. The restaurant occupied an entire rooftop in Hanamdong, glass walls revealing Seoul sprawling below like a galaxy. Zainab wore a deep purple dress that hugged her curves, the kind she'd been told to avoid in Lagos. Here, under Jun-suk's gaze, she felt luminous. He stood when she arrived, eyes darkening with something that made her skin warm. "You're stunning," he said simply. They talked through 5 courses, about his father's death, about her escape from Lagos, about loneliness in crowded cities, about dreams they'd stopped admitting to. Everything except what hummed between them like a live wire. Finally, as Seoul's lights blurred below them, Jun-suk set down his wineglass. "I needed to be honest with you." Zainab's chest tightened. Here it comes. The rejection. The "you're wonderful, but..." "Women leave me," he said quietly. "Always. I've accepted it, built my life around it, convinced myself I was better off alone." His jaw worked. "But with you, I can't stop wanting to try, even knowing how it ends." The vulnerability in his voice undid her. "What if I don't leave?" She whispered. His eyes snapped to hers. "You don't understand what you're saying." "Then explain it to me. My family will despise you. Korean society will judge us. The media will tear you apart." He leaned forward, voice dropping. And physically, Zainab, I've hurt people without meaning to. Women who tried and couldn't, who left crying or angry or both. She should be afraid. Any sensible woman would be. I'm not afraid of you, Zainab said. I'm afraid of wanting this too much, of being too much again. You're not? I've spent my life being told I'm excessive, too dark, too curvy, too opinionated, too emotional. Her voice cracked. What if you're just another man who asked me to shrink? Junsuk stood abruptly, moved around the table, and knelt beside her chair. His hand hovered near her face, asking permission. She leaned into it. I have spent 5 years, he said roughly, being told I'm too much, that no proper woman could handle me, that I should accept loneliness as my inheritance. His thumb brushed her cheek. You walk into a room and don't flinch. You see me, actually see me, and stay. How could I ever ask you to be less? Zainab's breath shattered. Can I kiss you? He asked. She answered by closing the distance. The kiss started tentative, testing, terrified, his lips soft against hers. Then her hand fisted in his shirt, and something broke open between them. He kissed her like he was drowning and she was air, like he'd been waiting his whole life for permission to want this much. When they pulled apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against hers. Come home with me, he whispered. Not just to talk, to figure this out together. Yes. They walked through Hanamdong's quiet streets, fingers intertwined. Junsuk's penthouse was all windows and minimalist luxury, but Zainab only noticed how his hand trembled slightly when he poured them water. We should be careful, he said. Keep this private until we're sure. My family, if they know about you before I'm ready to fight them, they'll come after you. So we hide? We protect each other, he corrected, just until I can cut ties properly, set up defenses. It made sense. It was smart. So why did her stomach twist? Okay, Zainab agreed. Private, for now. His relief was palpable. He pulled her close, kissed her temple. I'll make this work, I promise. They left separately, him first, then her 10 minutes later. Professional, careful. As Zainab stepped onto the street, she felt eyes on her. Across the road, partially hidden by shadows, stood a woman, mid-30s, elegant hanbok-style dress, beautiful in that polished, untouchable way Korean society prized, and furious. Their eyes met for 3 seconds. The woman's expression promised violence, not physical, but the kind that destroyed lives quietly. Then she turned and disappeared into a waiting car. Zainab's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He'll break you. They all do. Leave while you can. Her blood turned to ice. 6 weeks of paradise. Junsuk's penthouse became their sanctuary. He'd attempt Nigerian jollof rice, burning it spectacularly, while Zainab laughed so hard she cried. She taught him Igbo phrases, I love you, that he'd practiced with adorable, terrible pronunciation. Again, she'd say, grinning. He'd give up and kiss her instead. Their physical relationship built slowly, deliberately. Heated kisses on the couch, his hands learning her curves with reverent patience, her fingers tracing the muscles of his back while he trembled with restraint. Are you sure? He'd ask before every new touch. I trust you, she'd answer. The night they finally came together, Zainab had straddled him on his bed, foreheads pressed together, breathing synchronized. Slowly, she whispered. We'll go slowly. It took patience, communication, laughter when things didn't work immediately, his careful attention to her comfort, her willingness to guide him. When they finally found their rhythm, Zainab gasped, I've never felt safer while feeling so consumed. You're the first person, Junsuk breathed against her neck, who's made me feel seen, not feared. Afterward, tangled in Egyptian cotton sheets, Seoul glittering below them, Zainab thought maybe fairy tales existed after all. You're glowing, Minji announced during their shift break. Spill, who is he? Zainab's cheeks warmed. No one. Just happy. Liar. You've been walking around like someone who's having excellent. Minji. Her friend laughed. Fine, keep your secrets, but whoever he is, don't let him go. The guilt of lying tasted bitter. That weekend, Junsuk took her to a private art gallery. His younger sister Haewon was waiting, 23, art student, rebellion incarnate with her undercut and paint-stained overalls. So you're the one who made my brother smile again, Haewon said, pulling Zainab into an unexpected hug. Finally, I was worried he'd turn into a grumpy hermit. I'm standing right here, Junsuk said dryly. Haewon ignored him, linking arms with Zainab. Tell me everything. Do you like art? Music? Please say you'll civilize him. He thinks culture is reading financial reports. Zainab laughed, meeting Junsok's eyes over his sister's head. He looked lighter, happy. Maybe his family wouldn't be the obstacle she'd feared. After a family dinner he'd attended alone, Junsuk returned distant, distracted. Their text messages shortened from paragraphs to sentences. Can't meet tonight. Work. Tomorrow's complicated. I'm sorry. Soon. When they finally met 3 days later, he was physically present but emotionally absent. Zainab watched him stare at nothing, jaw clenched. Are you ashamed of me? She asked quietly. His head snapped up. What? No, never. Then what's happening? You disappear for days, won't talk to me. I'm ashamed of them, he said harshly. My family, the things they say, the pressure they're applying. He ran hands through his hair. I'm handling it. By shutting me out? By protecting you. I didn't ask for protection. Her voice rose. I asked for partnership. Zainab, forget it. She grabbed her bag. It's call me when you're ready to actually talk. She left. He didn't chase her. The anonymous messages continued. Photo Junsok at a formal dinner. The elegant woman from before touching his arm possessively. She's who he'll marry. You're who he hides. Zainab's hands shook. The woman was beautiful. Korean. Appropriate. Everything Zainab wasn't. At work, her manager called her into his office. Mr. Park, who'd always been professional, now looked uncomfortable. There's been concerns about your performance. What concerns? My reviews have been excellent. Just be careful. Keep your head down. It was a warning. She just didn't know about what. Then her visa renewal paperwork, submitted months ago, mysteriously went missing. The immigration office claimed they'd never received it. Someone powerful wants you gone, Minji whispered during lunch. I've worked here 5 years. I know what power plays look like. Who are you dating? Zainab couldn't answer. She confronted him in his penthouse, fury and fear warring in her chest. Tell me the truth, all of it. Junsuk looked exhausted, defeated. My family is pressuring me to marry Choi Yuna, business partner's daughter. They've been planning it for years. And you didn't think to mention this? I've been refusing, but they're threatening Haewon's trust fund if I don't comply. They'll cut her off, ruin her future. So you're protecting everyone, but being honest with no one. Zainab's voice cracked. You're keeping me secret like I'm something shameful. I'm trying to protect you and her. By lying to me, by making decisions for me. Tears burned her eyes. I survived Lagos by refusing to let men make me small. I won't do it again, not even for you. Zainab, please. No. She headed for the door. Figure out what you actually want, because I won't be someone's secret. She left him standing there, chest heaving, looking shattered. This time he let her go. Zainab's phone stayed silent for 2 weeks. No texts, no calls, no late-night knocks on her door. She told herself this was better. Cleaner. That loving Kang Junsuk had always been destined to break her. But her body didn't believe the lie. She'd wake at 3 a.m. reaching for him, finding only empty sheets and emptier promises. Then the invitation arrived at the hotel. The annual Hanam Charity Gala. Black tie, Seoul's elite, and the Luminaire staff would be serving. Her manager handed her the assignment with apologetic eyes. I'm sorry, I tried to get you off this one. Zainab's stomach dropped. He'll be there. With his fiancée. The word landed like a blade. The grand ballroom glittered with old money and older expectations. Zainab wore the hotel's standard uniform, black dress, white apron, invisible servitude. She carried champagne through crowds of people who looked through her like glass. Then the Kang family arrived. Junsuk entered with Choi Yuna on his arm. She was porcelain perfect in ivory Chanel, her hand possessive on his elbow. His mother followed, regal and cold. Behind them, Haewon looked miserable in a structured dress that erased her personality. Zainab's heart didn't just break, it shattered into dust. He looked hollowed out, a beautiful shell playing a role. His tuxedo fit perfectly. His expression fit nothing. Yuna whispered something. He nodded mechanically. Then his eyes swept the room and found her. The longing that crossed his face was devastating, raw, desperate. For 3 seconds, the ballroom disappeared. Just them. Just the wreckage of what they'd almost built. Then his mother touched his shoulder, and the mask slammed back into place. Zainab turned away before she broke entirely. She was refilling champagne glasses near the dessert table when she heard it. These foreign workers should know their place, Yuna said to another socialite, voice carrying. Coming here, thinking they can seduce their way into our world. It's pathetic, really." The woman laughed. "I heard the Kang scandal involves one of them. Nigerian, wasn't it? A hotel maid who got ideas above her station." Zainab's hands trembled, the champagne bottle nearly slipped. Across the room, Joke had gone absolutely still. He'd heard every word. Something fundamental broke in his expression. Not anger, but clarity. The kind that comes when you finally stop lying to yourself. He walked away from Yuna mid-sentence. The ballroom noticed. Conversations faltered. Heads turned. He crossed the marble floor with frightening purpose, eyes locked on Zainab. "June Sok," his mother hissed. "Don't you dare." He reached Zainab, gently took the champagne tray from her shaking hands, and set it aside. "I need to speak with you," he said quietly, privately. 200 of Seoul's elite watched in stunned silence. "Sir, I'm working." "Please," his voice cracked on the word. "Please, Zainab." She should say no, should remember her dignity, her self-preservation. She nodded. He pulled her into a side gallery, walls lined with donated art, empty of witnesses. "I'm done," he said immediately. "Done hiding. Done protecting everyone but you. Done being afraid." "Junsok, let me finish." He looked wrecked. "My family has been sabotaging your life, your visa, your job, your apartment, all of it orchestrated by my mother to force us apart." Zainab's breath caught. "What?" "I've been trying to handle it quietly. Thought if I could fix things behind the scenes, you'd be safe. I was wrong." His hands fisted at his sides. "I should have fought with you, not for you. Should have trusted you to be strong enough for this battle." "You knew they were attacking me and didn't tell me?" "I was terrified of losing you. Thought protecting you meant keeping you in the dark." His voice broke. "Instead, I just made you feel like a secret to be ashamed of." Before Zainab could respond, the gallery door burst open. Haywan stumbled in, face pale, phone clutched in shaking hands. "We have a bigger problem," she gasped. "Mother hired a private investigator. They fabricated evidence against Zainab, falsified documents, manufactured criminal connections. They're planning to have her deported on false charges." The blood drained from Zainab's face. "What?" "It's happening in 48 hours. Immigration enforcement. Public arrest." Haywan's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so sorry. I just found the emails." Junselk looked like he'd been shot. Then his expression hardened into something terrible and determined. "I'm cutting them off," he said. "All of them. Publicly, tonight." "But Zainab," he turned to her, raw and honest, "that means war, not violence, but they'll use every social and financial weapon they have. The media will be brutal, your life will be hell before it gets better, and you'll be at the center of it." Zainab's mind spun. Deportation, false charges, public destruction, everything she'd survived in Lagos, but worse. "I never asked you to hide me," she said, voice steady despite her terror. "I asked you to choose me. I'm choosing you now." He took her hands. "Completely, publicly, whatever it costs. Even if it costs everything, you are everything." The gallery door opened again. Yuna stood there, expression unreadable. "Your mother is coming," she said quietly. "If you're going to burn it all down, do it now, before she stops you." By midnight, Junsok's family had frozen his accounts. By morning, the tabloids were vicious. Kang Hair abandons family for foreign worker. Nigerian hotel maid seduces Mafia prince. Gold digger destroys Seoul dynasty. Zainab's photo, taken without permission, zoomed in on her curves, her skin, everything that made her other, plastered across every gossip site. The comments were poison. "Look at her body." Of course he wanted her for sex. "These African women come here to trap rich men." She probably got pregnant on purpose. The racism was casual, constant, crushing. The hotel fired her before noon. "Bringing disrepute to the establishment," her manager said, unable to meet her eyes. By evening, her landlord arrived with an eviction notice. "Owner's orders. You have 72 hours." Korean news shows discussed her like a disease. Pundits debated the foreign worker problem while her face filled the screen. On the street, a woman spat near her feet. A man followed her for 3 blocks, shouting slurs. Minji found her sobbing in a coffee shop bathroom. "Come on," her friend said firmly. "My cousin has an empty apartment in Itaewon. You're staying there, and you're blocking the news sites. All of them. I can't afford. You're not paying. You're surviving." That night, curled on a stranger's couch, Zainab let herself break completely. He fought on 3 fronts simultaneously. legal battles against his family's attempt to declare him mentally incompetent, financial warfare to protect his independent assets, media management to counter the racist narrative. He couldn't reach Zainab. She'd blocked his number, and he understood why. He'd failed her, protected her into destruction. His sister brought updates. She's safe, hidden, but Opa, she's breaking. Junsuk was breaking too, sleeping 3 hours a night on his office couch, losing weight, growing desperate. His penthouse felt like a mausoleum of what he'd lost. On the third night, he stood where they'd first made love, remembering her voice. I've never felt safer while feeling so consumed. He'd made her feel neither safe nor seen. His father's photograph stared at him accusingly. The right woman won't run. But she was running, and he'd given her every reason to. Haewon arrived at his office, eyes red. I saw her today. She asked me to give you a message. Junsuk's heart stopped. What did she say? Tell your brother I won't be the reason he loses everything. Some loves cost too much. Haewon's voice cracked. Opa, she's booked a flight to Lagos. 3 days from now. The world tilted. She's leaving? She thinks it's the only way to end this, to protect you and me and herself. Haewon grabbed his hands. You have to stop her. She blocked me. She doesn't want. She loves you, you idiot. She's running because she loves you too much to watch you destroy yourself for her. Junsuk collapsed into his chair. His father had been wrong. The right woman hadn't run. She'd been driven away by his family, by society, by his own failure to fight loudly enough. Love wasn't about protection. It was about partnership. And he'd forgotten that when it mattered most. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Meet me. Cafe meal. 1 hour. Come alone. Yuna, he almost deleted it. Then curiosity or desperation won. Yuna sat in the back corner, expensive sunglasses hiding her expression. I never wanted to marry you, she said without preamble. My father forced this arrangement. Your mother saw an opportunity. We were both pawns. Then why are you here? She slid a USB drive across the table. Your mother's private investigator. I have friends in those circles. This contains proof that every piece of evidence against Zainab Okori was fabricated, falsified documents, manufactured connections, all of it. Junseok stared at the drive like it was salvation. Why help me? Because I don't love you, but I respect you, and what they're doing to her is evil. Yuna stood. I'll testify if needed. My father will be furious, but I'm tired of being used. Yuna, save her. Some loves are worth burning the world for. She smiled sadly. Mine isn't with you, but yours clearly is with her. She left him holding evidence that could change everything. Junsuk looked at his father's photo on his phone screen. The right woman won't run. Wait for her. His father had been right about one thing. Zainab was the right woman. But waiting wasn't enough anymore. It was time to fight. Publicly. Loudly. Completely. Even if it meant losing everything else. Junsuk stood in his office, surrounded by evidence, allies, and the wreckage of his old life. Yuna's USB drive. Legal documents. Testimonies. Proof of every lie his family had constructed. He had 72 hours before Zainab's flight to Lagos. 72 hours to do what he should have done from the beginning. Stop protecting. Start fighting. Are you sure about this? Haewon asked. Once you go public, there's no going back. There's nothing to go back to, he said. Not without her. He picked up his phone and called every major media outlet in Seoul. The conference room at the Grand Hyatt was packed. Cameras, reporters, curious onlookers who'd heard whispers of something explosive. Junsuk's mother tried to have it shut down. Her lawyers threatened. Her connections pressured. They all failed. At 2 p.m., Kang Junsuk walked to the podium. He looked different, thinner, exhausted, but his eyes burned with purpose. My name is Kang Junsuk, he began, and I'm here to tell the truth about my family. The room went silent. For 3 weeks, the media has portrayed Zainab Okori as a gold digger, a seductress, a problem to be solved. His voice was steady, clear. Every word has been a lie, and I'm going to prove it. He displayed the first document on the screen behind him. This is fabricated evidence commissioned by my mother to have Miss Okori deported on false criminal charges. The private investigator she hired has confessed to manufacturing documents. I have his testimony, emails, and payment records. Gasps rippled through the crowd. This, he continued, is proof that my family orchestrated the loss of her employment, her housing, and her visa status, not because she did anything wrong, but because she loved me. And I loved her. He displayed message after message, financial transactions, recorded phone calls of his mother instructing subordinates to make the foreign woman disappear. The evidence was damning, irrefutable. Choi Yuna, the woman my family tried to force me to marry, has provided testimony. She never wanted this arrangement. We were both pawns in our parents' ambitions. Yuna stood at the back of the room, nodding. I'm also naming every person who harassed Miss Okori based on fabricated rumors, every tabloid that published racist attacks without verification, every business that fired or evicted her under pressure from my family. He listed names, companies, publications. Some reporters looked uncomfortable. Others scribbled frantically. Then Junseok's expression softened. I've been called many things. The Ghost King, the Mafia heir, feared for my body, my power, my family name. He paused. But the only thing that matters is this. I love Zainab Okori. His voice cracked. I love her courage, her refusal to shrink, her ability to see me, actually see me, when everyone else saw a monster or a trophy. And I failed her. I tried to protect her instead of fighting beside her. I made her feel like a secret when she deserved to be celebrated. Tears blurred his vision, but he didn't stop. Zainab, if you're watching this, I'm not asking you to save me. I'm asking you to give me another chance to build something new. Together, publicly, unapologetically, because I'd rather have nothing with you than everything without you. The room erupted. Questions shouted. Cameras flashing. Junseok walked out, leaving chaos behind. Zainab watched the press conference on Minji's phone, hands shaking. Oh my God, Minji whispered. He just nuked his entire family on live television. Zainab couldn't speak. Tears streamed down her face, fury and hope and terror mixing into something she couldn't name. He'd done it. Actually done it. Burned everything down. For her. You're not still leaving, are you? Minji asked. Zainab looked at her suitcase, still empty because she couldn't bring herself to pack. A knock thundered on the door. Minji opened it. Junseok stared breathless like he'd run the entire way. His eyes found Zainab's. Can we talk? He asked hoarsely. Minji looked between them, then grabbed her coat. I'm going for a very long walk. She left. You should have told me the plan of your last, Zainab said, standing. There was no plan until 2 hours ago. Junseok stepped inside carefully, like approaching something precious and breakable. I realized I'd rather have nothing with you than everything without you. You just destroyed your family on national television. I freed myself from people who valued reputation over humanity. He moved closer. You were right. I tried to protect you like you were fragile. But you're not fragile. You're the strongest person I know. Then why did you hide me? Because I was terrified. His voice broke. Terrified of losing you, of failing you, of proving everyone right, that I'm too much, that I ruin everything I touch. Zainab's anger wavered. Junseok, I'm not here to save you, he interrupted. I'm here to stand with you, to fight beside you, to learn how to be your partner instead of your protector. She searched his face, saw exhaustion, sincerity, desperate hope. I need you to fight with me, she said quietly, not for me. Can you do that? I've never done this before, he admitted. Never had a real partnership. My parents had an arrangement. Every relationship I've had ended in rejection. I don't know how to do this right. Neither do I. Zainab took his hand. That's the point. We figure it out together. His fingers tightened around hers. Together. No more secrets. No more secrets. No more protecting me from hard truths. I'll tell you everything, even when it's terrifying. She pulled him close, pressing her forehead to his. I haven't packed yet. Relief broke across his face like sunrise. You're staying? I'm staying. But Junseok, this won't be easy. Your family will fight back. Society will judge us. The media. Let them come, he said fiercely. All of them. We face it together. Zainab kissed him, soft, then deeper, tasting salt from both their tears. Together, she whispered against his lips. He kissed her back like a drowning man finding air. Junseok's family sued for defamation within 48 hours. Reckless destruction of family reputation, the lawsuit claimed. Slanderous accusations without merit. But Junseok had evidence, mountains of it. The case became Seoul's most watched legal spectacle. Courtrooms packed. Media camped outside, every hearing live streamed, and at every single appearance, Zainab stood beside him. Not behind, beside. She wore her natural hair proudly, dressed in colors that celebrated her skin instead of hiding it. held his hand where cameras could see. The headlines shifted. The Mafia heir and the woman who stayed. Love versus dynasty, the trial that's dividing Korea. At first, the judgment was brutal. Comment sections filled with racism and classism. Then something unexpected happened. Young Koreans on social media rallied behind them. Hashtags trended. Love without apology. Stand with Zainab. End xenophobia. Nigerian communities in Seoul organized peaceful demonstrations supporting Zainab. International media picked up the story, CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, framing it as Korea's reckoning with treatment of foreign workers. K-pop idols posted supportive messages. Progressive politicians called for immigration reform. The narrative changed from scandal to love story, from disgrace to courage. Not everyone supported them, but enough did that the tide began to turn. Jun-suk's mother requested a private meeting. They met in a neutral space, a lawyer's conference room. Cold, professional, final. Mrs. Kang looked older, defeated, but still venomous. You've destroyed our family name for her, she said bitterly. No. Jun-suk's voice was calm. I freed myself from a family that valued name over love, over humanity, over basic decency. That woman has a name, Zainab Okori, and she has more integrity in one finger than our entire family combined. His mother's face twisted. Your father would be ashamed. Actually, a voice interrupted. Jun-suk's family attorney entered, carrying a manila envelope. Mr. Kang's father left a codicil to his will, recently discovered in his safety deposit box, very specific instructions. He handed Jun-suk the document. Zainab watched him read, saw his eyes widen, fill with tears. What is it? She whispered. My father. His voice broke. He set up a separate trust, activated only if I was ever cut off for following my heart in matters of love. He wrote, my son will face pressure to marry for status. If he's brave enough to choose love instead, he deserves his inheritance untainted by those who would control him. The room went silent. He knew, Jun-suk breathed. He knew this might happen, and he planned for it. The trust was substantial, enough to build an empire independent of his family. His father's blessing from beyond the grave. Mrs. Kang looked stricken. He wouldn't. He did, the attorney confirmed. The will is ironclad. Jun-suk's sister stood, facing their mother. I'm leaving too, Haewon said quietly. Not for money, but because Oppa taught me something you never did. What's that? Mrs. Kang demanded. That strength without compassion is just cruelty. Haewon took Zainab's hand. You taught us to be strong. You never taught us to be kind. I choose him. I choose her. I choose love. She walked out with them, the family fractured, but the right parts stayed together. They returned to the penthouse, truly theirs now, untainted by family control. Seoul glittered below, but neither of them looked at the view. Come here, Jun-suk whispered. Zainab crossed to him. He cupped her face, thumbs brushing away tears. No more fear, he said. No more shame, she answered. The kiss started gentle, reverent, grateful. Then heat bloomed between them, months of restraint and terror finally releasing. He lifted her, carried her to the bedroom, laid her down like something sacred. I was waiting for you, he whispered against her skin, hands learning her curves without hesitation now. I was brave enough to stay, she gasped as he worshipped her body with complete devotion. Their lovemaking was slow, intense, emotional, every touch a promise, every kiss a vow. The physicality that had terrified others became their perfect fit, her soft curves against his hard planes, her strength meeting his, both of them finally, completely free. I love you, he breathed as they moved together. I love you, she cried as pleasure built and broke and built again. Afterward, tangled together, hearts still racing, Zainab traced patterns on his chest. We won, she whispered. We survived, he corrected. Now we get to live. Within weeks, the defamation charges were dropped. His family's evidence crumbled under scrutiny. Zainab received 3 job offers. She chose the international hotel chain that had actively recruited her. Better position, better pay, respect. The Korean government, pressured by international attention, reformed foreign worker protections. They hadn't just won their battle, they'd changed the battlefield. 6 months later, cherry blossoms drifted through the courtyard of their hanok like pink snow. Zainab and Jun-suk had bought the traditional Korean house together, renovated it with touches of both their worlds. Nigerian art beside Korean calligraphy. Jollof rice spices next to gochugaru in the kitchen. Tonight, they were hosting their first dinner party. Are you nervous? Jun-suk asked, adjusting his shirt. About your sister bringing her girlfriend, my mother meeting you properly, or the fact that we're mixing two completely different cultures in one room? All of it? Zainab laughed. Terrified. You? He kissed her forehead. With you? Never. The gathering was beautiful chaos. Haewon arrived with her girlfriend, Ji-won, an art curator she'd met at a gallery opening. Oppa's courage gave me mine, Haewon whispered to Zainab, squeezing her hand. Minji brought hotel friends who'd stood by Zainab during the worst days. Their laughter filled the courtyard. Then Zainab's mother arrived. Mrs. Okori was elegant in traditional Iron-buba, her presence commanding. She studied Jun-suk with the intensity only Nigerian mothers possessed. Later, she pulled Zainab aside. I was worried when you came to Korea hurt, she said softly. Thought you were running. Now I see. You came here to find yourself. She touched Zainab's cheek. And you did, my daughter. You did. She took Jun-suk aside next. He looked appropriately terrified. My daughter is not fragile, Mrs. Okori said firmly, but she is precious. Love her like that. I already do, Jun-suk answered. Every single day, Mrs. Okori smiled. Good. Welcome to the family. After dinner, Jun-suk led Zainab to their rooftop garden. Seoul glittered below, the city that had tested them, broken them, rebuilt them stronger. 6 months ago, he began, I stood in front of cameras and burned my old life down. Best decision I ever made. Second best, Zainab corrected, grinning. You're right. First best was walking into Suite 3407 and refusing to flinch. He took her hand, standing face to face. I'm not asking you to complete me. You already stand beside me completely. His voice steadied. I'm asking, will you build the rest of this life with me? Loudly, publicly, unapologetically. He opened a velvet box. The ring was breathtaking, Nigerian emerald and Korean jade intertwined in platinum, two worlds becoming one. Yes, Zainab breathed. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Below, their guests erupted in cheers. They'd been watching. As he slid the ring on her finger and kissed her, Zainab pulled back suddenly. There's something you should know. Old fear flickered across his face. What? I'm pregnant. His expression transformed. Joy, terror, overwhelming love crashing together. Are we ready? Her smile could have lit the entire city. We faced worse than parenthood. We'll face this too, together. He lifted her, spinning as she laughed, cherry blossoms swirling around them. Later, they slow danced on the rooftop, her head on his chest, his hand on her still flat stomach. They said I was too much, Zainab thought. He said I was exactly enough. But the truth? We're both everything, and that's exactly what we needed. I spent years being feared for the wrong reasons, Jun-suk thought. Now I'm loved for all the right ones. She didn't tame me. She freed me. Seoul glittered below. Two silhouettes against the night sky. Their laughter carried on the spring breeze. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that celebrate love without apology. Drop a comment. What moment in Zainab and Jun-suk's journey resonated with you most? Was it their first meeting, the public declaration, or something else entirely? I want to hear from you.